How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. Binance US legal and risk heads step down amid exec exodus. So the latest departures include legal Christiana and chief officer Sydney, according to the Wall Street Journal. Both these were heads in their departments. This is followed by Schroeder's departure earlier this week, accompanied by a broader round of layoffs at the firm affecting 1/3 of its staff. So a lot of people are either leaving or losing their jobs. Binance is saying this is all FUD, it's nothing to worry about. Yet they also follow a slew of executive departures from both Binance and Binance US, which began after each was sued by the US SEC and CFTC. Each agency's sweeping allegations range from securities fraud to market manipulation to commingling of client assets. They also allege that Binance US was supposed to be independent but really wasn't. So far, CZ just keeps saying this is FUD. He says there's nothing to worry about, just like he did last time. Crypto exchange updates marketing and fees after Hong Kong regulator warning. The SFC has issued a warning against crypto exchange JPEX. According to a report in South China Morning Post, the SFC claims the platform showcases suspicious features and doesn't have the necessary licensing to legally operate in Hong Kong. Those features include like gains of 21% for staking. The territory recently passed a landmark list of crypto regulations. It demands, among other legal requirements, a virtual asset trading platform license, but according to the SFC, JPEX hasn't applied for one. Earlier today, JPEX published a statement announcing the company would have to make adjustments to their business practices and policies, along with modifying the withdrawal fee for USDT, which I believe they've already done. The crypto exchange also said that it is establishing a special task force to discuss future development directions and future adjustments. So that hints that they kind of made all these changes, so they may be applying for a license soon, and they may be able to re-enter. Bitcoin jumps as European Central Bank signals end to rate hikes. Based on its current assessment, the Governing Council considers that the key ECB interest rates have reached levels that maintain for a sufficiently long duration and will make substantial contribution to the timely return of inflation to the target, wrote the ECB. I believe they gave, here's a time frame. The current rate still doesn't match inflation, which the European Central Bank expects to average 5.6% in 2023, before simmering to 3.2% in 2024. These are upward revisions from their prior projections due to higher energy prices. So, onto the charts. We are trying to push back up. We are kind of stopping right around here on the total where I warned about the other day. Our stochastic is pushing forward. Our RSI is coming up. The VWAP's pushing forward, and the money flow is trying to push forward, but it's kind of stopping short of this like 6.39, which we've had some stops, like little dips on. I believe we probably had some back here if we look. Kind of hard to get there, so yeah, there's a few right here in that range. So we've had several different dips in this range. If we're able to push off it, we can continue up like back here. However, if we kind of reject like back here, it could start a breakdown. So just watch if we break through or not. If we start to roll away, we would set up bearish action. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we're still within this gapped area back here. We're really not pushing too far. Our stochastic's starting to bend, the RSI is starting to bend, the momentum is starting to roll off, and the VWAP is starting to come down. The money flow is in the bullish territory, but it's currently not too strong. We do have everything in the bullish trend, so we could see continual price action up. We do have this green candle. However, with the way other things are looking, we are kind of overall rounding out, and we are pushing down on the VWAP overall. So if the VWAP breaks past this like 10.93 zone, we could see Bitcoin dominance start to slip. Over on Bitcoin futures, we are kind of flat, just like everything else so far. Stochastic's starting to kind of roll away. Our RSI is starting to roll away. The VWAP is starting to lose some strength and head down. The money flow is coming out. And the momentum is starting to round away. So I would exercise caution if we start to get some red candles here. We are within a previous gap zone, so this could act as a bit of a manipulation spot. We could see us push forward and then possibly get sucked back down and rejected, or we could just see that propel us up. We'll kind of have to watch if red candles start to form and the VWAP continues to slide and the money flow is still in the bearish territory. We're likely going to see price action slide. However, if the VWAP maintains bullish strength and stays in the bullish territory and the money flow starts to round up, we may be able to see some continual price action up. Over on Bitcoin, we're kind of hitting the top of our support resistance. We redrew it based on previous candle movements. We're a little shy here. Can't really move it where I want, but we did move these lines. That doesn't really affect our breakdown too far. It brings us a little bit lower, but not much. Our stochastic is trying to run up. The RSI is starting to curl away, even though it has a lot of strength. Our VWAP is starting to roll away, and our momentum could start to reject away if the VWAP starts to break down from here. Our money flow is pushing up pretty decently still, so we do have the possibility for continual price action up, as our VWAP is in the bullish territory, and our money flow is trying to go towards the bullish territory. If we look on the 4-hour, we do have a potential for a rounding top pattern here. Real quick, if you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and join us in that Discord link up above. Our stochastic is starting to push down. Our RSI is starting to push away, so those are starting to weaken. Our momentum is starting to come out. The money flow is in the bullish territory, but it's not very strong. So we could see continued price action up if we get bounce here with the next candle. However, if we break down and the money flow breaks bearish, we'll likely see lower price action. The VWAP is curling away and wants to break bearish as well, so I would keep a close eye on both of these things. Over on the 2-hour, we do have a green candle here trying to push our support. We are slightly above it, so we are trying to kind of flip it back to support. It is kind of resistance now. If we pull back and close under it, it will stay resistance. However, if we continue up, it will become support. Our stochastic is heading down. The RSI wants to come up. The momentum is starting to round away. The money flow is in the bullish territory. It's pretty flat though and starting to come down slightly with a bearish trend, so I would exercise caution. The VWAP is pushing lower into the bearish territory, so if this continues and our money flow maintains bearish action, we could see some drops down. That would be dependent on how this 1-hour looks. The 1-hour is pretty decent. The money flow has strong bullish strength, but we are starting somewhat of a bearish trend with lower lows. If we reject away and pull back here and form another low, we would be in jeopardy of seeing the money flow start to weaken here. The momentum is coming down, but it's trying to curl up as the VWAP is trying to push back through the neutral. If the VWAP can gain bullish strength, we could get another leg up and see continued price action toward our golden pocket. At that point, we would have that manipulation that I warned about when we covered our gaps that could help us retest that previous pattern. That would be an important level for us because we have not really gone near that pattern for a retest. We got a little bit of a retest, but not, we kind of stopped shy. So I would watch if we do start to break toward this golden pocket. If we come toward the pattern and start to reject away, we could ultimately see lower price action if we break the golden pocket. However, if we maintain and we push back above the golden pocket and break this support resistance line, we could fill that higher gap. So for our other indicators here, I'll zoom way back in. RSI is trying to head up on the 1-hour. Our stochastic's trying to push up. That stochastic wants to push up. The money flow is It's in the bullish territory. I would just watch it. Our momentum's trying to curl up as that VWAP's trying to push up, so we are trying to get some bullish action here. I would watch the VWAP, sorry. It's meeting some resistance at that 2.7. So if the VWAP starts to reject this 2.7, that could be an indication that we could start to slide here. We are in a bit of a down channel though, so that could also be a bullish pattern to push us up. This would be the third touch to the top after our third touch to the bottom. So it would be likely that we could see a break up from here if that pattern were to play out. Over on graph for the daily, we gapped up, so we do have potential to see a drop down from here, just because 80% gaps tend to fill. Our stochastic's trying to run up, the RSI is starting to curl away, the VWAP's in the bullish territory, so we have some strength there, giving our momentum a double green dot. Our money flow, sorry I can't get the words out today, obviously, is trying to push up. We are trying to push this resistance area of about 4. If we can break through here, we could see some bullish action. However, if we see a curl away from this zone, we will see lower price action. Over on the 4-hour, we are in a bit of an up channel, so that is a bearish pattern that can drop us down. Our stochastic's pretty overextended. Our RSI is running up, the momentum's trying to come up, but our VWAP is coming down. The VWAP is close to that neutral, so watch out if it breaks. If it breaks here, we could get another leg to the downside. Our money flow isn't quite through that neutral, it's just stopping flat. It's meeting some support resistance right around this 4 zone here as well. So again, if it can't push above this zone and get some action through that neutral, we're likely going to see a rejection here. Over on the 2-hour, we have a little bit of a bullish cross that wants to push us forward. Our RSI is trying to push forward. Our momentum is kind of just topping out, not really going too far. It's remaining pretty flat. That's because our VWAP's doing the same. The money flow is doing about the same thing too. It's staying pretty flat in the bearish territory. So if this money flow continues downward, we could see lower prices, and that VWAP could potentially break back down toward the bearish territory. However, if we do see the lower time frames pick up and the money flows start to push green, we're likely going to be able to see another leg to the upside and break back into this pattern. Over on the 1-hour, we are trying to push green. We did have that triangle that I did talk about yesterday that did push us up. I didn't quite draw it out, so I can't really reference exactly where it was, but we are pretty much above our breakouts. Our momentum does have bearish divergences forming, so we're making higher highs and our momentum's not doing the same. That could ultimately be what could drag us down. Our RSI is starting to round away, the VWAP is starting to head back toward that neutral, and the money flow is maintaining bearish strength. So if the VWAP flips bearish and the RSI and stochastic start to crash down, we're likely going to reject away from this support resistance area where we've had several candles. We've probably also had several in the past. Not going to go too far. We have a wick right here, but we could see lower price action if we don't manage to break above this zone and hold. If we see this zone start to fail away, we're likely going to fall into one of these other support resistance areas. Over on Anchor for the daily, we are testing our pattern here as well. Kind of rejecting away from it again. Our stochastic's trying to run up, RSI's trying to run up, our VWAP is trying to push up, and our money flow is trying to head up, but we're still overall in a bit of a bearish trend. Our momentum is trying to make bullish divergences that want to push us up, but we're not looking too good as far as the money flow. If the money flow can break bullish though, we could get a pretty decent push to the upside. Over on the 4-hour, our stochastic is pretty maxed out. Our RSI is getting topped out, our momentum is starting to round away, and the VWAP and money flow are in jeopardy of breaking bearish. If the VWAP and money flow start to pull away here, we're likely going to see a leg down that can drag us to those lower price actions. Right here on the 2 hour, you see a pretty good rejection. We did fill that gap that I warned about, that you could see a scam gap fill since we didn't fill. So it is very likely, now that we're pulling away from the zone, that if we don't push forward from here, we're going to break down and see those lower price points fill. I believe we have a gap right here at 1723. So that would be our first range of support we'd see. Stochastic is pushing down. Our momentum is starting to round away. The RSI is pretty flat, but with the stochastic losing strength, that could change. Our money flow is overall rejecting away from the neutral and forming a bearish trend, so I would watch out. Our VWAP is trying to curl up, but it's not getting too much strength to the upside, so if we reject away from here, we're likely going to get that leg down that could fill that gap and possibly even lower. Over on the 1 hour, our RSI is overall pretty flat. Our stochastic is falling, but we do have a bullish cross that wants to push us up. Our momentum has a green dot as our VWAP is pushing forward, and our money flow is in a little bit of a bullish trend, but we did reject away from neutral, so watch out if we get a lower high and set lower lows from here. If that happens, we will make a bearish trend, and we will see these lower price points fill, like that 1727. And then if we don't meet support there, we will see this candle wick area around that 1553 fill. Over on XRP for the daily, we are making a decent push above our value area high of our bigger macro volume profile. That's the volume profile from up here to down here. Our little mini flag, we are trying to push, so that is a good sign for us. We are also pushing kind of toward our point of control for our little micro area. The micro area is just this breakdown point. Our stochastic is trying to run up. The RSI is trying to come up. The VWAP is pushing into the bullish territory above that neutral. We are meeting a bit of resistance here though at about 5. So if we don't get some strength and push above this zone, we're likely going to break down, break this value area high, and see this value area low of our micro pattern tested. If we break that value area low, that's where we will see those lower price actions. Over on the stochastic for the 4 hour, we are starting to curl away. Our RSI is starting to come down. Our momentum is pretty maxed out. Our VWAP is struggling to get higher highs. We did make a higher high, but we are starting to drop down pretty quick. So if this VWAP breaks in the bearish territory, we're likely going to get that leg down from here. We do still have that ascending triangle possibility, but we didn't get the push up like we did on Graph and Anchor. Our money flow is kind of flat here. It's really not going anywhere. It's starting to kind of flick into the bearish territory. So if we see continual red candles from here, that money flow is going to continue down and the VWAP could follow, dragging our overall price momentum to the bearish side. Over on the 2 hour here, we do have a bearish engulfing candle, so that could push us lower. The stochastic is getting a bearish cross and pushing down, and the momentum has a double red dot that wants to drag us lower. The RSI is also coming down because the stochastic is losing strength. The VWAP is pushing to the bearish side, so watch out for that. If it carries more bearish weight, we will drag even lower. The money flow is flipping into the bearish territory after trying to break bullish and not gaining any momentum at all. So if our money flow continues to the bearish side from here, we're likely going to get lower price action. Over on the 1 hour, we are starting to kind of curl away. We could form some sort of like a slanted head and shoulders here that could drag us down, not too far because it's very small. Our stochastic is starting to push down. The RSI is starting to push down with lower highs and lower lows. Our momentum is starting to round away with a red dot. And the money flow is struggling to maintain above, what's this, about 15-16 zone. So we could see a rejection from the zone, which could drag us lower. If our VWAP doesn't flip into the bullish territory and the money flow starts to reject away from here, that will weaken our other time frames and we will see lower price action. Over on Algo for the daily, we are trying to push our flag. Straighten this out here. So we are trying to push into our pattern. If we can get a green candle tomorrow, that could push us through and we could see higher price action. Our RSI is heading up, the stochastic is heading up, the VWAP is in the bullish territory, so things are looking pretty positive for us. The momentum does have a green dot, but the money flow is stopping short of that neutral, so I would keep an eye on it. If we start to reject away from here, we'll likely continue our bearish trend. Over on the 4 hour, the money flow did flip bullish, but is in jeopardy of breaking bearish, so we could see a rejection from here. Our stochastic is starting to get bearish divergence and the RSI is starting to curl away. The momentum is starting to come down and the VWAP is overall getting lower highs, and that is in jeopardy of pushing lower, so I would keep an eye out for that as well. Over on the 2 hour, we do have several wicks to this kind of support zone. If we don't get some green candles and push off this zone, we are in jeopardy of pushing lower, as each time you get a candle or a candle wick to a specific zone, you make that zone weaker or stronger depending on how the pattern's going. If it's like a support and you keep bouncing off a specific zone, it's very likely the next time you hit it, you'll bounce. But in this case, this is a normal support resistance area, and if we break through it because we keep bouncing, that is weakening it. Our stochastic is rounding away. We do have a double red dot on our momentum that is starting to roll away. Our RSI is starting to come down. The money flow is pretty flat here, about 5. Our VWAP is coming down into the bearish territory though, so if we don't get those green candles, signals are saying we are going to see another push to the downside. Over on the 1 hour, we do have potential for this to be like a really tight double top or something. Stochastic is coming down, our RSI is starting to come down, the momentum's starting to come out. The money flow is starting to arch away. If it breaks through this 14.8, then we could see further downside. The VWAP is in the bearish territory and it is starting to reject away from the neutral, so again, I would keep an eye on the money flow and the VWAP here. If we see the VWAP continue down, the money flow could follow, which is going to weaken us and we will see those lower price points. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a wonderful night.